Hello, welcome to my first memory vlog video. This will be my memories of my very first Africa trip, which happened in 2004. And I'm going to kind of take you through and just give you the brief highlight of what the trip was all about. And again, I'm mainly doing this for my own records, but would like to share this with you. So before we start, why don't you just go ahead and if you're interested in these kind of things, go ahead and subscribe to my video channel and hit that like button, the subscribe button, and if you'd like to be notified whenever I put out a new video, why don't you go ahead and hit that notification bell. All right. So let me start by just letting you know who I went with. I went with a good friend and a brand new boss at the time, Mike, and a real good friend of mine, Shay. And so Mike and Shay got an invitation. Mike actually got an invitation to go to Africa, to the country of Uganda, through some contacts he had. And he was invited to come and teach at a Bible school there in Uganda. And so he thought, why not, since he just had come to the church I was at and he had just become my boss. So he thought it'd be a good idea for us to kind of get to know each other better and bond by going on this trip together. Shay was going to just see the Bible school and the church I was connected to see if she wanted to spend a few years over there doing missions type work. So that's how we decided to all go. I also became the sort of the travel agent as I had experience arranging trips and doing that. And so Mike and Shay were more than happy to hand that responsibility over to me, and which they may have regretted later, but that's a whole nother story. But so we took off from San Francisco, and this was in November of 2004, and we went through London, I believe it was, at the time, and then went down to, if I can remember correctly, we went, it's been a little while here, but we went to Nairobi, Kenya, and then from Nairobi, Kenya, we went to Uganda, and we arrived in Uganda, and we were picked up by a group from the Bible school and were met by people, and of course Mike knew some of these people, but I didn't know anybody, so this was all new to me. And so we arrived, and we arrived in Entebbe, Uganda, and Entebbe, of course, being the famous airport that a few years ago Idi Amin had taken some plane of Israelis hostage at the airport, and that was the airport the Israelis. So now different building, different runway, but you can see them as you're driving out. You can see them. So we drove, and then at that time, the roads from, this is kind of interesting, 2004, the road from Entebbe to the main city of Kampala was all dirt road. It was all dirt and gravel road, and it took about 2 hours for about a 25 mile trip to get from the airport to the house we were staying at. what's interesting about that is now, the last time I was there in 2017, and from what I saw since then, that road is now a 4-lane highway between Entebbe and Kampala. So things change over 20 years. Yeah. So we came to Kampala and we stayed. Let me show you kind of the house we stayed at. It was sort of like I would say an Airbnb rental, what you would consider nowadays. Of course, back then there was no Airbnb, but it was private rental. But it was a really nice house. It was a 4-bedroom house, and we each had a bedroom to ourselves, and they had somebody there to make meals for us and so it was very comfortable for a first stay in Africa. So it was very comfortable, because I was out of my comfort zone. I'll be real honest with you. The uh, I'm not real good, or at least back then was not real good with strange food, and of course, when you went to people's homes, and even at the house we were staying, you sort of ate what you were served, and I actually did okay with that. Back then, I was very careful, a little bit paranoid, and didn't eat anything I wasn't sure of, didn't drink anything I wasn't sure of, and so it was definitely an experience that, again, forward to 2017, um, to where I'd eat street food off a vendor off the side of the street and wouldn't think twice about it. And so uh, definitely got used to the country. Of course, I went there 24 times between those two, between 2004 and 2017, made 24 trips. So, you learn and you adapt, and I certainly did that. So, what would be a typical day there? We were there for a total of the trip was 14 days long. We were there in country for a total of 12 nights. I remember. We were there 2 Sundays. I think we came in on a Thursday or Friday, and we left. We'd get up and have breakfast. They'd make us some breakfast there, and then we usually go out and do some exploring in the area. And one of the things, of course, we were there to visit schools. That was one of the purposes of our trip, was to visit different schools. And different schools that were sponsored by people, by churches and organizations in the U.S. that had invited us to come see. Of course, everybody invites you to come see their school because they want, to solicit funds for their school. All schools in Uganda, especially back then, were self-funded. There were no public schools, so to speak, of, and the so I'll get more into the schools and everything again in another video. But there were a couple memorable experiences that I want to share with you. One was, well, first of all, let me tell you, we had rented a van, and the van was driven by a driver that had picked us up from the airport, and he was part of the church that had invited us over. And so his name was Charles, and Charles and I became very good friends, and we have stayed friends to this day. He was, of all my 24 trips, he always was my driver, but he became a lot more than that. He became a confidant. He became a part of when I established a nonprofit organization in Uganda, he became a board member. and we became very close friends. And I could have not done um, my years in Uganda without Charles, and I have Charles to thank for so much, and I'll be doing that throughout this video. But this, of course, is the first time I've met Charles, and we he had rented this van for us, and we we would go exploring in this little Toyota van, 4-wheel drive van. Um, Quite interesting. Um, so, yeah, that we would take that all over the country of Uganda, and on some adventures. We returned that van pretty beat up after we were done with it, because we went to some pretty remote areas with it. And back then, the roads were terrible in Uganda. So, yeah, that poor van we definitely got the use out of that. So, so there's several things we would do during the day. We would visit schools, and then we'd also visit projects, different projects that people would invite us to. Again, it would all come down to them wanting funds. Okay, so, and of course we were not in any position to give funds. So, but we would go to these projects and check them out, because there might be something that we would be interested in, and maybe the church could take on, and things like that, which, of course, would later lead to me starting my own organization there, but that's another story. Okay, so a couple of memorable stops at these schools was every school we stopped at, the children would want to put on a performance for us, or do a native dance, do a tribal dance that from the different tribes. The kids belong to all kinds of different tribes, so they would want to show off different dances from their homes, and then their tribes, and so I have to say that was a struggle for me, because I don't do very good sitting and watching things. I a little bit of ADH there, and for me to sit hour after hour watching kids dancing and singing, and we've met some really neat people. I couldn't even begin to go through all the people we met, but people we made friends with for years to come, and people that we're still friends with to this day, and so that was the significant part of this, is the people we met and made and build relationships with. So that would be the day. We would just do different explorations and sightseeing. We will also do sightseeing of Kampala and the area during the day, and then in the evening we would go and teach at the Bible school, and we would that would be several hours, and that they did that late in the evening. Actually, it'd be like 7, 8 o'clock. We would go because these people worked during the day, and then they came to the school in the evening. These were evening classes, so then we would go and teach well till 10, sometimes 11 o'clock at night, and then we'd go back to the house pretty exhausted, and we'd fall into bed, and we would start it all over again the next day. One interesting final tidbit I'll leave you with on this video is we did spend Thanksgiving there, and we're invited for Thanksgiving to a missionary's house. And this missionary that lived there in Uganda, she had a really nice house, and she invited us for Thanksgiving. And here we thought we were going to have a traditional Thanksgiving in Uganda with turkey and all the fixings. Uh, it turned out to be the toughest, scrawniest turkey I have ever tried to eat in my life. It was just skin and bones, basically. Um, and it was, you smile and to your host, and you try to eat these things, but no, it was almost an unedible Thanksgiving meal, and we were very appreciative of the host that made the attempt to give us a Thanksgiving dinner. It certainly became the brunt of many jokes after that about the scrawny turkey that we try to eat. So yeah, that was one of the more interesting Thanksgivings of my life, and it was turkey combined with some different African dishes that were quite good. But um, again, I was so picky on what I would eat. I'm not sure I tried a whole lot of them. But anyway, that's gonna wrap up this trip memory. Now, there was an adventure that we went to that was quite exciting, and I'm gonna do a whole video on that again coming up real soon here. So subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.